So let's begin, everyone. Just sit in a comfortable cross-legged position. Again, if you want to put the yoga pata on to help you feel the compactness, I'll say the inherent compactness of the hips in this particular pose, then do so. And then do what you need to do to bring the shoulder blades flat on the back. So I like that instruction because for some of you are taking the hands here, others are taking your arms out to the side. You can even extend the arms up, turn, roll the arms from the inside out. So employ whatever you need to bring the shoulder blades flat on the back. So the shoulder blades are not moving toward the wall that your back is facing, but rather away. Now, when you bring the shoulder blades away from the wall to the back of you, make sure your abdomen, and you can put your hand on your navel band, and make sure the skin of that navel band is slightly drawing back. This will set the stage for our work today. And just pronate the palms on the roots of the thighs. Relax the hands. And then close the eyes. Now sit and try not to get anywhere. Try not to improve or to impose anything on yourself. Just rest. Sense yourself gathering. And perhaps you might catch a glimpse of no contraction, of no self-improvement. And in that glimpse, see if you can feel the reality of intrinsic peacefulness. Continue to let go of everything imposed and mechanically controlled. Allow yourself to surrender to the unknown. And then see throughout the time that we're sitting if you've created more and more space for these glimpses of peace and silence within. And then you can repeat with me, perhaps you have your own personal vow that you'll recite to yourself. May I be a boat, a raft, a bridge for all beings to cross the flood. May I be a resting place for the weary. May I be medicine for all who are sick. May I be a lamp in the darkness for those who are lost. And may I do so as long as earth and sky and galaxies exist, until all are enlightened. I vow to be here to serve them all. Ready. If your hands are in namaskar in front of the chest, release the palms to the roots of the thighs. And then allow the eyes to open, knowing that you're opening your eyes. And then it feels right for you. Just notice if you're taking in the room from the center of the eye. And can you take in the space around you from the outer corners of the eyes, as it tends to be quieting to the brain. Okay, and then you can stretch out your legs. All right, so maybe some of you haven't noticed, but I've been starting with what I'll call a wisdom meditation at the beginning of the class. It's rather short. It's probably no longer than, 3 minutes, but hope it's been helpful. And then we kind of do that with Shavasana at the end. So some of you were here with me on Tuesday. In that case, you can, when we did flat Baddha Konasana, Those of you who want to change, but you'll still get the relaxation of the diaphragm, put your bolster at the wall, put the feet on it, and others of you can just lie flat. Those of you weren't here. So just giving you a change. I alluded to this. By the way, the Body Wisdom classes are on the website. You've been sent the password for it. So the students that are taking the classes will have access to the Body Wisdom tapes. Please make sure that everyone is on mute, just in case. Okay. So yeah, belt is optional, that's fine. So those of you want to do it flat. So we're doing Supta Baddha Konasana in this way. One, it's wonderful with this weather. So Polly, put the feet on the bolster. So you're either flat, because that is a way with trunk support, but I want you to feel the relaxation in the abdomen, and you'll feel it more when the feet are on the bolster or just flat. Okay, belt is optional. So for those of you who are here, Lubna, you can do another option. Oh, you're not in Akavai, see. Back in your house, good. Yes, Yukiko, good. Just put your hand on your navel band. And then slightly lower, below the belly button, your abdomen, and just spread your hand back and forth, just to pacify the abdomen, Make sure those of you, especially who have the feet on the bolster at the wall, or not you, Donna, that's fine for you freestanding. Remember to keep moving the buttock flesh toward the leg side, the back ribs toward the head. Now, have the arms in line with the shoulders. So we'll take this first position very wide, very spacious, this decentralized position. It's interesting, I was doing this the other day, and when I brought my hands into the final position beside my side, but when they went close to the hips, it was interesting, the abdomen began to contract. So I want you to realize that where you place your hands has an effect on the relaxation in the diaphragm and the abdomen. And we're beginning with relaxation of the abdomen because it's always a good place to start before you're doing abdominal work. Also stretching out the hip flexors is important. Good. And just sense that your chest is expansive. Yeah, the arms need not be higher than the shoulders. Actually, as you know, when the arms are in that more overhead position, it alerts the brain. Backs of the hands pressing, open up the palms, press the feet strongly into each other as you continue to widen the thighs away. And then again, if you want to, as a reminder, place the other hand right below your navel and spread. Again, just as a reminder, using your body parts to bring forth, to solicit an action, in this case, a spreading in the abdomen and a sense of well-being, It's interesting to use the word well-being because, we sometimes forget that that's what our inclination here is. It's for this sense of well-being. Perhaps as a reminder at the end of the class, did you have, as I alluded to in the meditation, did you have any glimpses of peacefulness? Any glimpses of restfulness? And if not, then it's time to ask why not. When you're ready, extend the arms overhead. Those of you who are helped by taking your hand to your inner upper arm and turning that biceps flesh toward the midline, always a good thing to do. Do the arms overhead without alerting the brain. So it's hard for you to keep the elbows straight, just note it, and one can employ a dowel, broom, even hold a strap to help keep the arms straight. Now keep the armpits long as you hold either wrists, forearms, elbows, or upper arms. Make sure that in holding the arms in bound hand, Baddha Hasta, the elbows haven't drifted toward the ceiling. Suki, that's good. You can just, the dowel is good to keep the armpits long, thoracic moving in, shoulder blades moving now away from the floor without letting the abdomen ascend toward the ceiling. That same action that I spoke of when you were sitting, same thing, only supine. Change the cross. When you change the cross, go back to straight and get the armpit length. Then maintain that as you change the cross. Continue to press the thighs away as you press the feet. Move the inner thighs away from each other, and then sense your perineum getting wider in that action. And then I'd like you to just feel as we come back to the arms down by the side, but experiment. Bring the arms down beside the hips, so going to the more, not in line with the shoulders, a little bit lower, but not too close into the hips. So if you bring your hands to touch the outer thighs, you will feel an automatic contraction of the abdomen, even Val, like closer to the outer thigh, the outer, right here. So I'll just do it here. Let's see. So this is interesting. Let me adjust this camera. Okay, so if you take your hands, sorry, just stay where you are. You don't need to get up. You can just look at the screen. So if you bring your hands actually too close in like this, beside the outer thighs, it'll actually cause the abdomen to contract. So have them in the classic position where they're not here, as wide as we did the first, but kind of between where I just had my hands, the outer thighs, and where the arms were in the first position. And then again, if you want to spread your abdomen again. So it's, it may seem like a small point, but to the degree that the organic body is affected by changes of different positions is an interesting phenomenon as we get to see throughout our yogic life. Okay, just rest there, enjoy the breath. Feeling the breath in the throat, in the nostrils, without alerting the brain. Now, when you're ready, just place the feet flat on the floor. Okay, and then those of you who have the feet on the bolster, you come off because we're doing quasi-jethra for the groin. So we did this a lot for the back last year, in 2020, but also this year. So the feet are hip width apart, and do make sure they're hip width apart, not touching, and then go side to side. Now, as you go side to side, when you go to the right, observe the sensation. So I'll just put my hand here again to encourage that proprioception of the left groin, long from top to bottom and wide from side to side. You go to the left, observe the right, top to bottom, side to side. The wonderful pose, if you spend a lot of time, of course, sitting, standing, yes, feet apart, spread the toes, and just go side to side, side to side. Go slowly. If the knees, if those of you who have no issues with the knees, they might come to the floor quite easily. Make sure the feet are hip width apart, because I want you to feel when the feet are, if the feet aren't hip width apart, the top of the sacrum becomes narrow. So again, these finer points make all the difference. It's not just to be picky, far from it. It's to have a different experience. That's it, Gail, side to side. To the left, you feel more in the right groin opening and back and forth. And remember, I'll just say this, if anyone doesn't feel well throughout the class, those of you who are in warm rooms, it's always wise to return to one of these supine postures that we've worked on for the 2020 and 21. Feel free to go to them. Okay. All right, now take the knees into the chest for the hips, Dvipada. Hold the shin or the knee, those of you shorter arms, or even the back of the thighs. Do flex the feet, because we're going to work on the feet. And oh, that's it, Val. Open up that heel hinge. So when your toes are pointing toward the chest, open up that heel hinge, the back of the heel. Back of the heels open. Good, good, good. That's it, Suki. So the feet are perpendicular in space. And now again, enjoy the breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose, unless your nose is congested for whatever reason. And then you're likely to be breathing more through your mouth. And then feel how when you take the exhalation, the abdomen deflates as you bring the legs closer and closer to the chest. And then that in-breath occurs naturally against the resistance of the abdomen moving back. So a few cycles of breath in Dvipada. With each breath, see if you can, good Nancy, merge the legs, the thighs, the root of the thigh, which is the top of the thigh, with your trunk. The legs are apart. Again, so you're breathing in and out through the nose, ideally. On the exhalation, observe how the abdomen moves back toward the front of the spine, and against that resistance of the exhalation, see if you can draw the knees in a little bit more. It'll be faster than what I just described, but I want you to feel these look good. Okay, now everyone, if you have a chair, that would be wonderful. A blanket, a bolster, and 2 blocks. So let me just show the setup, what may work out. So we're doing this in a series. So we will end in Malasana, in which case some of you may need a blanket for your heels. But for those of you who don't, you won't use this blanket, as I just put it here. All right, now, just to change it up, I'm also gonna have 2 blocks, and I'm putting them on the high side. All right, then I'm going to take a bolster, and I'm going to use the bolster instead of a block, because that would now have to get all this stuff ready, unless you have 3 blocks. But I decided to do Virasana with the buttocks supported by a softer cushion, just for a change. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. So Virasana, as you know, hero's pose, you're sitting between your inner heels. And I'm gonna, today we'll take the head to the floor in order to bifurcate the calf, moving the skin down toward the heel and out to the side so that there's weight on the outer shin and baby toe side. And then slowly, see, this is an Akunchanasana action. I want you to use your abdomen, which rarely people think of as they draw back to Virasana. In this way, you have a better chance of the 4 corners of the knees pointing straight on. The inner knees should not collide. You're ending up sitting between the feet with the palms pronated on the roots of the thighs. Polly, if it's, you can join us probably in Vajrasana. If it's too challenging, do you remember the chair way with the bolster and chair? Or just, you can just kneel, okay? We're not spending that much time here. So remember we did that with the chair and the bolster on the knees, that Virasana. Okay, spread the feet. Sometimes I like to put my hands right at the inner ankles because they tend to glide and move the inner ankles away. Lift the side ribs up. Now take the backs of the hands to the crown of the head. Let the elbows go out to the side to bring the shoulder blades flat on the back. And now press the feet, outer shins, and reach up. Urdhva Badanguliasana in Virasana. The pose is known as Parvatasana. Now, make your arms straight. I know it's harder to keep the arms straight, elbows firm in Urdhva Badanguliasana than Urdhvastasana, but it's important. Probably just do it in kneeling. It's fine. Yeah. Good, Meredith. Make your armpits thinner. Now, here's the tricky part. Take the top of the sternum forward, but take your arms back. Arms back, that's it down. Arms back, but right here, the top of the sternum forward, wherever forward is to you. That's good, Donna. Make your armpits, good, Gail, thinner and thinner. Yeah. Lubna, see if you can get the arms to go a little further back, but don't do it at the expense, Lubna, of the abdomen forward. Remember that, your hand there. Okay, now, this is challenging. I mean, it just, you know, I find this myself personally very challenging. And then it was funny because I was looking at the video for the first time ever, And I said, gee whiz, my armpits are so closed. It was like a brutalizing experience. Here I was thinking, oh, they're open. They're not open. All right, change the cross. Let the elbows go wide. That will help you bring the shoulder blades flat. All right, wait there, elbows wide. Find the shoulder blades flat. Mary Beth, take the abdomen slightly back. Yes. And now press the feet, press the shins, reach up. The arm, Gail, that looks like a beautiful pose. Really good. Now take the arms back with the chest forward. So if it's challenging for anyone to do this, the default, for lack of a better word, position is just belt your wrists. Or you could do Urdhva Hastasana. If your arms are coming forward of the ears, then do indeed separate. But we don't want to avoid Urdhva Balanguliasana if the arms are forward. We have to touch it. You know what I mean. Chest forward, arms back. Good, Yukiko. Arms back, chest forward. Arms back, chest forward. Polly, that looks good. Very well done. Okay, and then bring the hands to the roots of the thighs. I'm glad we did that. All right, now watch. You can take the bolster away. I only did it because, not everyone has 3 blocks. All right, so now we're going to sit in Vajrasana. Now, Vajrasana, you're sitting on your heels, but let me just tell you that the inner ankles will come apart. So I would suggest, and we didn't do this on Tuesday. Polly, I thank you again for sort of encouraging me to watch the video. It was a harrowing experience, but I'm glad. So let's belt the ankles. And you know how to tie up your ankles because you don't want the inner ankles to separate. All right, so you're belting your ankles, and you all know Vajrasana where the feet point straight back. The feet point straight back. It's interesting to do this footwork tomorrow when we're not together with sneakers on. Some of the poses will be more challenging, some will be hard. So belt your ankles, bring the feet together, and now bring the hands to the roots of the thighs. Good. Not too close to the knees, because this again is a nuanced thing. If the hands go close to the kneecap, the chest will come forward. So take the hands to the roots of the thighs where the top of the thigh and the pelvis meet. It really makes a difference. Have the thighs apart, everyone, a smidge, because they need not touch, because actually if they touch, your abdomen will contract. So that, let it be at least 1/4 of an inch of space, because it will relax the diaphragm. So as Gail, we're sitting in Vajrasana on our heels with the toes pointing ideally straight backward. Okay. All right, now you're going to, from here, take the belt off, take the block on the high side and come into toe squash. So the block is on the high side in this manner. So I have a tall side, but the width of the, not narrow, so that I can land my buttocks on it. So I'm in toe squash. You're on the toes, the ball of the foot, you're reaching back through the heels. And again, if those of you find this hard, then you might consider doing it in a sneaker. All right, now watch. From toe squash, I have my other block. I'll show on this side so you can see it. Now watch, I'm going to quickly take this guy out, and I'm going to come into Sankatasana, where the feet are perpendicular. Now it's really, I know that if I don't do without blocks, my heels go back. So look, this is what I saw in the video. Let the heels be over the balls of the feet. I'm supporting my hands with the blocks, and my thighs are parallel to the ceiling. And then watch, and then I'm coming into, I don't need a blanket, Malasana, right? Some of you might also be aided by a chair in front. So Sankatasana. So see if you can get your feet perpendicular. That's why I asked you, we didn't do this on Tuesday. If you use the blocks, you'll have half a chance, Vedana, of getting the feet perpendicular. And the thighs are running parallel, which is a very different position for the legs than Utkatasana and Malasana. Observe the difference. Now, slowly, employ your abdomen. Good, Mary Beth. Draw back. That Apunchanasana action. That's it. Go slowly. Extend from the arch to the heel. Simultaneously extend the arms out with the palms down and balance in Malasana. See, if your heels are up, employ the blanket, because you can see in Malasana, the legs are at a slope. The root of the thigh is significantly below the knee, which is not the case in Utkatasana. Okay, can we just do that one more time? Go from Sankatasana to Malasana. Sankatasana. It's not, okay, Donna, don't get frustrated, please. Okay, so watch again. So you were in toe squash, right? And then I asked you to come into Sankatasana, where the feet are perpendicular, thighs are parallel, trunk upright, and then slowly, look, reach back. Balance accordingly. You can reach to the wall if it's nearby, or even the seat of a chair. So now the heels are down. See the root of the thigh lower than the knee. Polly, yeah, so I would be up. So see if you can get the pelvis down more, or remember, employ the weight with the top of the sacrum. If it's very challenging, put the top of the sacrum at the wall. So you're forward of the wall and then walking back. Okay, now give a good stretch to the legs. All right. So we'll call that fancy footwork. It will help many of you to do this, tomorrow, so that you don't forget. See if you can do this with a sneaker on, okay? And those of you who found Malasana challenging, the first line of defense would be a chair seat, or even do it the back to the wall. We've done that quite a bit, okay? All right, so now let's do this. And this is a functional exercise for the feet. So on Tuesday, those of you who were here, we worked on eversion. Eversion is basically turning the foot toward the midline, all right? And then I think we might do a few inversions. So I'm going to take off my socks. I'll just do it with my left foot. So this is the sole of my foot, and I'm sitting upright in Dandasana. And then I'm turning my foot. You turn your foot so that the sole of the foot, to the degree that you can. Some people can really turn their foot. The sole of the feet is facing the midline. That's eversion, E-V-E-R-S-I-O-N. And then inversion is the opposite, and it's very challenging. So my foot now is turning that way. They're opposite. So let's do, on the right, let's do 10 eversion. And then on your right, this is my left, you'll do 10 inversion. All right? All right, let's try it that way. All right, so eversion, I have the feet hip width apart. Eversion, turning the right foot toward the median line. So you'll see how the outer ankle is stretching more than the inner ankle. All right, and do 10 in that way, in eversion, 10 that way. Yeah, yeah, is it okay? So you're not really moving the leg. The leg, the hip doesn't move. It's an isolated movement. It's just the foot. Go slowly. The doctor who I got this from, the sports medicine person at Children's Hospital, actually encouraged that once you turn into the midline, go slowly back. So almost when you go back to the perpendicular position, if you're doing a count of 3 to the midline, maybe a count of 6, or at least 2 to 4, make it slightly longer. All right, now do same leg inversion, where the foot is going out of the median line. But you're not changing the position of the knee. It's just a turning of the foot. So I haven't changed the hip, I haven't changed the knee. It's just the turning of the foot. Also notice which is more easeful than the other for you on this particular leg. So just explore that. Eversion, inversion, 10 of each. And then of course we'll do the other leg. Can also be done with a sneaker on. I mean, it's usually done barefoot. Now, as one improves with this, as the movement initially gets easier, you can put a resistance band around the ball of the foot and hook it up to a chair or a bedpost or something like that. Okay, so it looks like most of you have finished, and then let's go to the left side. Eversion for 10 to the midline, and then 10 inversion. Really important to work on the feet. It's probably the most neglected part of the body. So we're incorporating some of this footwork today, because as you know, when we address balance, the feet, the thighs, the core muscles have to be addressed. Go slowly with that eversion exercise. So it's faster in, and then slow back to the perpendicular position. And then in the same manner, the inversion, where the sole of the foot is pointing away from the median line. We'll just do, mind you, these exercises are usually given in 3 sets of 15. That's a classic remedy, and then the resistance band is added. And then hopefully for some of you are going to take this on. It'll be interesting to see how this helps your feet in 6-8 weeks time. All right, so we'll leave this for a moment, but don't forget about it. And the only way you would really know if it's helpful actually is if you do it, 3 to 4 times a week, and see if that helps strengthen your feet. So let's do Supta Padangusthasana 1. Actually, the cycle. We're going to do, let me just tell you before, we'll do it at the wall. If you have a wall, it's the very best way to do it. We're going to go 1, 2 out to the side, which you all know, and then 4 in any iteration that you need, and then 2. And then we'll do something fun after we do 2 rounds. All right. So remember, if you're doing it at the wall, to get the traction in the lower spine, start with the feet about 12 inches away from the wall. Then the legs in this manner, hold the sides of the mat, belt will be nearby, and then extend the legs. So when I push the heel into the wall, do you see that traction I just created in the low back? This is really good. It's like a built-in traction device, right? And then extend the leg. All right, have your belt nearby. You can have it one long loop or the rungs, as we've been working with a lot, so your fingers are going through the sides of it. Many of you prefer it that way. All right, now, before we do the cycle of 1, 2, 4, and then back to 2, let us do Ekapada. Take the right knee in, and in that same way, work with your breath. Draw the leg, the thigh. See if you can merge it with the chest and employ that breath pattern that we spoke of in Dvipada. So remember, you're inhaling against the resistance of the abdomen moving back, and see if you can get your thigh to collide, if you will, with your chest. For some of you, this is easy. For some, it's a little bit harder. That's fine. And now extend through the core of your right heel. Take the left knee in Ekapada. Ekapada is a wonderful pose. It's an abdominal pose, and we often forget about this pose when we think about abdominal work, because it seems, oh, well, there is a lot to this. So work with the breath. Again, as you inhale, it's against the resistance poly. That's good. Also, feel how you get that clarity in the hips as you draw the skin back from the knee to the hip, and you get that clarity in the left hip at that hip thigh juncture, which is why we actually should start with Ekapada before the Supta cycle, because you want to address the hips. Okay, now go back to the right side, Ekapada, and then place the bell. And you can put it in a different place, because we do this pose a lot. It need not always go across the ball or sole of the foot. It could go at the head of the heel, the back hinge of the heel, etc. Let's start at 90. Some of you, if the leg isn't straight, employ the method of pulling the toes down and lifting the heel up, extending through the inner knee. Okay, hold the belt with one hand, or some of you are holding with 2 hands, or the fingers are in the rungs. Root of the right thigh, that's in your gut pressing back, root of the left thigh pressing down. All right, now we're going out to the side, all to the right. Remember, we talk about this ad nauseum in Supta 2. If your pelvis does not stay balanced from side to side, then decentralize the left leg. That's fine, as you take the right leg out. If that's necessary for you to do so, you don't go with the right leg. Right arm is straight, good. Be present with the left side of your body. Okay, now any iteration of 4. Let's see, 4. Either the figure 4 or taking the forearms hooking under, that's it, Polly, drawing the right shin closer. Anyone, or holding the big toe down as you're doing with the fingers, any method, figure 4. Okay, now from here, see how 4 helps 2, go back to 2, back to 2, back to 2, out to the side. Again, decentralize the left leg, that's it, Polly, if you need to. So it's 1, 2, 4 informs 2. Okay, now take the leg up. All right, let's repeat it with a slight, now that you know what you're doing, the rhythm of it. Let's do it with a wonderful rhythm-like pattern. So it's lyrical. It's going to go 1, 2, 4, and 2. When you're ready, 1, 2, 4. Work that hip, good, Suki, and then back out to 2. See how 4 informs 2. So with movement, it's very different than staying, as we sometimes do, 2 minutes in each one. There's a reason to stay, time it, but sometimes you just want to work with movement. Okay, now everyone do Dvipada. Go back to Dvipada. Again, merge the thighs with the chest. Abdomen moving back. Inhale against the resistance. All right, now from here, extend through the core of the right heel. All right, take the strap in the same place around the foot of the left foot, weight there. And then we'll do it again twice in the same manner. 1, 2, 4, 2. Here we go. 1. And then 2. Again, decentralize the right leg if you cannot balance. Keep your left foot parallel to the floor, because otherwise you will bypass the width of the left groin opening. And now 4. I will say that if your left hip is tighter, the external lateral rotators, it would be wise to employ a different way. So maybe on the right side, you hooked under, but maybe on this left side, let's just say it's tighter, then maybe figure 4. So this is a good way to, to really cultivate this body wisdom. Like you've observed maybe a few days ago, the left side was tighter, then maybe do figure 4 and then go back out to 2. Back out to 2, back out to 2, having done 4, see what comes. Okay, let's do it again. 1, make it lyrical. So it's like, just imagine the leg floating in space. There's 1. And then out to the side, there's 2. There's 4 in any iteration, of which there are 4 of them. I think we've done many, maybe even 6. And then 4, 2, out from 2. Go back to 2 after 4. Okay, and then bring both knees into the chest. Okay, now, do you remember when we did Anantasan last week, lying on our side? So we're going to go back to the right side. We're going to go 1, 2, 4, 2, and then I want you to use your abdominal muscles. So you'll be here, 2, and then you'll have to come up on your side and do Anantasan. So in order to go from supine to sideline, you will have to use your abdominal muscles. There's just no way that you cannot use them. All right. So we're going to start with the right side. Don't worry about taking the blanket to make your ear parallel. There won't be enough time for that. Okay. So this is with movement. All right. Here we go. Back to the right side with 1. Okay, so we're starting with, again, with the Supta cycle. Polly, you just want to do Anantasan, that's fine. We'll use a bell. Now 2. Okay, now from here, 4. 4. That will help a lot in Anantasan. Any iteration, and now go to 2. Okay, now focus. You've got to come on your left side. How are you going to do that? You have to draw your abdomen back quickly. Will also help. Quickly. Go onto your left side. Quickly. That's it, Donna. And you're in Anantasan. Remember the mantra, leg back, groin forward. Groin forward, leg back. All right. Now go back to 2. Roll back. So now you're working with gravity, a heck of a lot easier to roll back. All right. Well done. Now take the leg up and we'll repeat. So basically we're coming in and out of Supta Panagustasana 2. We're going into Anantasana, which requires abdominal strength, and then rolling back, working with gravity, which is much easier. Okay, left side, same exact thing. Go to 1, wait there. See how much work you can do supine, right? It's amazing. Now we haven't even stood up. All right, now go to 2. Enjoy. And then 4. See how 4 informs 2. Go back to 2. Now gather all your memory, body wisdom, recruit the abdominals as you come back onto that right side. Good, Mary Beth. Leg back, groin open. Okay, now have fun, just roll back, roll back. That's the easy part. Yes, because you're going with gravity. And mind you, you can do this, you can just go Supta Panagustasana 2 to Anantasana and not even do all the other ones. Take both knees into the chest and rest there. All right, now we're doing Supta 3, but I want to classify this. One of the things I think people often overlook is how Supta 3 informs Garudasana eagle pose, where the thighs are, so let me just show. So Garudasana is this pose. The foot can be hooked or not. Okay, so this is the pose, Garudasana. All right, so we're doing Garudasana in a bit of time, but I want you to do Supta Panagustasana 3. If anyone has a groin issue, then I would have 2 belts nearby. So this is the one where you'll take up your right leg. And then if you don't have a belt and you have a groin issue on the right side, you see I'm using my arm and I'm resisting the inner thighs. You have to do that in Garudasana for the health of the groins. The groins move away from each other as the right leg crosses over the left. So make the connection, especially for those of you who are teaching, between this pose and Garudasana. Right leg comes up, hold it with the left hand. Again, if you have a right groin issue and it bothers you, then yes, of course you can avoid the pose. And I have no problem with you if you're not going to do it. But try working with the belt movement in the same manner. Move it, and you're going to resist the inner thigh away from the median line to create space there. Rahel, you're using your arm, which is good. All right, now here's the thing, guys. Find your median line. You have to stay on the median line. And then as you cross the right to the left, turn the abdomen from the left to the right, reaching through the right arm helps a lot. And aim to feel that right side of the waist moving toward the floor. Don't let it lift up. Don't let it lift up. Okay, these look good. Now look at your right leg in the air space. And keep the right leg in that airspace. Simply bend your right leg. And notice as soon as you bend the leg, how the thigh comes closer to your chest, right? The thigh is coming closer to the chest. Now reach through the core of the heel. That's it, good, Supi. Bend and stretch. And again, bend and stretch. So Polly, take the right leg a little more over to the side versus perpendicular to the floor. Let the right leg cross a little bit over to the left. And then bend and stretch. Resist inner thighs away from each other. For those on this side too, Lubna, you can use your arm if it's long or the belt. Okay, these look good. Now take the leg up. All right, and let's do the left side. Okay, so left leg comes up to 9. Okay, hold the belt with the right hand. Right hand. It's opposite arm, opposite leg. Opposite, yeah. Now, find the median line. This is the first instruction because you don't want to go with the leg. All right, now here, what I would do for some of you, this will be helpful. Before you take the leg over, reach through your left arm, turn your abdomen from the right to the left, and now take the left leg out. And again, those of you, Lubna, the belt of the arm, it's moving toward the windows, Lubna. Same for Rahel. Inner thighs have to resist each other. Because if you don't want the groins to collide, that's an unhealthy action for the groins. Now, once again, look at your left leg in the airspace. Keep it in that same plane, so to speak. Now simply bend it. Notice, this is the key. In bending it, see how the thigh comes closer to the chest and then reach out. Do a few times in that manner. This is actually to stretch the external lateral rotators, which we'll get more in Garudasana. These look good. I just want to make sure that oftentimes this pose can aggravate someone's right or left or both of them groin. So you're taking measures to ameliorate that by either using your arm, better a belt, or best yet is a person in the room resisting the strap from your inner thigh. Okay, now watch, I'll show you from a frontal view. So this is again a little bit of fun, supine Garudasana. So I'll show you in this manner. So I go back to Dvipada. Dvipada is a really wonderful index pose, especially for abdominal things that we're doing today, because I can really feel as my thighs come toward the chest, how it's against that resistance of the abdomen moving back. And then I'll take the arms out to the side. And then again, with a beautiful movement, I'm coming into this kind of supine Garudasana. Now, those of you, it depends on the size of your gastroc, but if you can hook, but don't attempt to hook at the very beginning or at all. I'm just working with movement. So here I don't hook, and then here I decide to hook. Just play around with it. Play around with it. All right? All right, let's do that. Beautiful movement in the hips. So this is supine Garudasana with movement. Again, if you have bulky, very muscular calves, don't worry about hooking the foot around the ankle. And again, sense, like Garudasana, when we stand the inner thigh. So imagine you have your hands right at your inner thighs. Move your inner thighs away. You can use your hands. Move your inner thighs away. Yes. So I'm using the back of my hand. I'm doing this. I'm moving my inner thighs away from each other, away from each other. It's really good to use your hands because you will be surprised, Suki, that's good. How articulate, or how the hands can help you articulate a pose. Okay, now take the right over the left, come back to right over left in this manner. Hook, if you want to hook, be my guest. If not, don't. All right, now draw the knees in closer, hold the shins. So now in Garudasana leg, like Dvipada, take the chin, take the thighs in. Now interlace your hands behind your head. Elbows not too wide, but not touching either, somewhere in between. And now sit up. And do 10 sit-ups in that manner. As you lift up the shoulder blades, the head, make good, Yokiko. Shoulder blades are clearing the floor. Lift your whole body. See if you can get your legs to merge with the chest. 8 or 10. Change the cross and another 8 or 10. So remember this, so watch everyone. Instead of having the elbows here, because if the elbows are very far apart, this will harden your throat. Nor do we want them to be like this, just kind of in between this and this. All right. All right. 10 more in that manner. So sit up, Ardha Navasana action in Garudasana. Make sure the shoulder blades clear the floor. Notice how when you're lifting the chest, lifting the head, how the abdomen naturally draws back toward the front of the spine. Toward the front of the spine. Okay, these look good. All right. This is actually a wonderful exploration for people who find Ardha Navasana, both of them challenging. All right, now let's do this, because Ardha Navasana is a very challenging pose. Why is Ardha Navasana so challenging? Because this is what I'm talking about. Let me just show it just in case some of you don't know. So one of the most challenging poses to do in our system that's typically a Kunshanasana in nature, abdominal, is Ardha Navasana. So there are 2 of them. The first one, the chest goes back, the legs come up, the abdomen is drawing back. That's challenging. But the other Ardha Navasana, which Patricia often calls Ardha Navasana, is equally as challenging. And for some, it could be more or less, okay, comparing the 2. So the other one is you're on your back and the shoulder blades have to clear the floor. And then the legs come up to that 30-degree position. Quite frankly, I find this one easier than Ardha Navasana, but some people, you know, in my teaching for all these years, find the other way around. So we might get to Ardha Navasana. If we don't get to it today, we will explore it on Monday. Okay, so now what I want everyone to do is seated Garudasana, but we're doing it not in the classic way. So watch how I'm going to come into it. So I start in an all-four position. Polly, if it bothers your knees, you'll let me know and I'll show you an easy fix for that. Okay, so I'm crossing, you see, this right leg over. Now here I'm showing that position. You see, I'm using my hands to move my inner thighs away from each other. So the right thigh's over the left, the knees are pretty much stacked. And then watch, I'll show from behind. See how I separate the legs like a windshield. Separate them, and then I'm creating space with help, add blanket, Polly, add blanket, and I draw back. And I want to show you in profile. So here I am, and then I separate, and then again, I'm using that same technique that I asked you to do in Virasana, when we have the head to the floor and coming back. You see, I slowly draw back. You're using your abdomen, and then I sit between my heels. And then if you're fortunate enough to be able to do that, then additionally, this is where you need a swivel, lazy Susan, I wriggle out my heels and I get more stretch in my external lateral rotators. Then we're going to add Garudasana hands. Lubna, I noticed your palms came together. That was beautiful on Tuesday. And then raise the triceps away from the floor, okay? So go slowly. That was a lot to present. I hope you remember. Some of you are already sitting. Good. Mary Beth, now put your hand on your abdomen, draw back. I want you to feel, we're using the abdominal. So this is what how I came up with this sequence was this. Everyone thinks they have to do leg lifts after leg lifts after leg lifts. You don't have to do leg lift after leg lift to get abdominally strong. These are some poses that you might not think of engaging your abdomen, and you are. Okay, Polly, if it's too much, support with bolster. Yeah. Okay, now arms in Garudasana, raise the triceps, wriggle out the heels. Nancy, can you support underneath the buttocks? Lift the triceps. Okay, don't worry about which leg is in front and not change. There's no reason not to do the other Garudasana arm position. Mary Beth, good. Lift the triceps. So the elbow is at least get the backs of the arms parallel to the floor. Okay, well done. Now release the arms, stretch out your legs, get them out of that knee flexion into extension, and then kneel and go back other side. Well done. So seated Garudasana. If you feel tippy, then tippy. If you're lopsided, use the blanket, no problem. No, Kiko, good. These look good. Employ what you need to do. Polly, just kneel and do the Garudasana arms. Kneel and do, Rahel, that's good. Now raise the triceps, get the triceps. Well, don't let the triceps sink to the floor, but lift away, lift away. So we'll call this seated Garudasana, a variation. The more classic variation, the heels are actually beside the feet in one variation, and then pointing straight backward. So there's different variations. I think Prashant had taught many of these variations some time ago. Okay, now release the arms and stretch out your legs. Okay, now we'll try this. So let me, there's a book, I alluded to this on Tuesday rather. It's called The New Rules of Aging Well. I just had lost my place. All right, so I might have to find, okay. So he writes, Frank Littman, who's a doctor and has practiced in Soho in New York. I have to find my place again. So I had the bookmarker and then it fell out. So here it is. You've probably heard about the sit-stand test that's supposed to be a predictor of longevity. The challenge is lower yourself to the floor without using your hands or arms. Sit down, cross-legged, and then stand up again without the help of hands or arms. We can't say if this is really a predictor of anything, but it can yield a lot of information and draw the attention to the importance of the feet. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to start seated, and I want you to cross your legs. Doesn't matter which. And then without using your hands, you're going to see mom, no hands, and get up. And then you're going to sit back down. Okay? All right. So now when you're ready, Cross the legs, observe which leg is in front. Now, in order to get up, you have to roll the weight from the baby toe side to the big toe side so that more of the circumference of your feet is on the floor, and then get up. Okay, now cross the legs and go down. That's it, Luna. Okay, now for those of you who found that really challenging, there's something you can practice, and it looks like this. And I think many of you know this. And this is something in itself. I don't want to demean this in any manner, because this can be challenging as well. So if you're sitting in the middle of the chair, the one thing that you can observe, which is rather dramatically different than the other way, is that the feet are in contact with the floor. So watch again, without using my hands, I get up, I go down, I get up, I go down, I get up, I go down. I'm using my foot strength and my thigh strength to stand up. So can we do 15 of those? Now ask yourself if this is easy, which it relatively is for some, but may not be for others. Why is this more palatable? It's because you have your feet directly underneath you and you have access to them. Mary Beth, continue on in that manner. Yes, continue on, Mary Beth. So I just want you to appreciate why it's way more palatable in the chair seat and not as palatable when you cross like, good, Mary Beth. Then Mary Beth, trace it in slow motion. How are you actually doing that, right? You have to quickly draw the attention to the big toe side so that more of the foot circumference and your abdominal muscles. Yes, Mary Beth. All right, now we did some of this. Nancy, you and I had a conversation about this. So 2 weeks ago, I asked you to do this exercise. My foot is pointing away from my median line. Let me show in profile. And my leg is at so here I'm back in the chair seat and I have my leg here. And then I'm turning out my foot. You can see that it's in kind of in that inversion position. And then I'm lifting. Many of you said it was very hard in Dandasana, and you're going to do 3 sets of 10 each leg for your quadricep muscles. Sitting in the chair will make it easier. You'll keep up. Turn the foot out. Turn the foot out, keep the leg straight and lift the leg up. The foot is slightly turned out. So you get into that smaller of the 4 quadricep muscles known as the vastus medialis, which unlike soccer players and certain sports, they're very well developed, that muscle. If Steve was here, he could show you his. Okay, change side. If you're going all, 3 sets of 10 on each, that's fine, or you can alternate. However, is not too high, Nance. So you see, it's pretty much parallel to the floor, and it, a little bit, not like this, just a little bit, 10 degrees higher. That's it, Mary. Turn out the foot. Turn out the foot. If it helps you, and this is where I wore light pants. Do you see this patch in my pant? This suede patch is the muscle that you're trying to affect, right? Exactly where this patch is where the vastus, let's see if I can get this, no, on the screen, can't do, okay, right there, that smaller quadricep muscle. All right, so 3, what did I say, 3 sets of 10. All right, now let's just see if this thing, lifting, and this thing, lifting, stand up, sit down, stand up. Stand up, sit down, stand up. You remember, you have to work the, so reach forward, Luna. Yes, that's it. If it helps you take your arms forward to me, to the screen. Go down, Polly, you can do it in the chair. Nancy, reach toward, that's it, yeah. So one leg at a time, but see if you can, so the energy goes from the baby toe side to the, it's like this in slow motion, Nancy. So it's like this, and then you recruit your abdominal muscles. It's all that action that we were working with. All right, lift up, Val, reach, come on. Imagine my arms extended, come on, Val, rest. All right. So this is something, to the degree that it's, Some people find it very challenging. And if it's very challenging, then of course do this. You can get quite good at this. This will be good also when you're in the movie theater. All right, if we ever get back to the movie theater. That's it, Val. All right, now let's do this. Give me one dog pose. Okay, let me just show you how we're going to do this dog pose. It's not, we don't usually do it this way. You're going to take your 2 blocks in the long side to accommodate the length of the foot at the wall. I will say, I just want to say something about this, this work. Some of you might consider doing this tomorrow, maybe. Try it with a sneaker. You might feel a difference. Some people have said that it makes it harder, especially that sitting up, because they actually employ their toes, the strength of the toes more. When the feet are bare feet, then you have access to it in a shoe. But it's interesting, especially if you have foot issues, then a sneaker might help. All right, so I have my blocks placed at the wall, running to accommodate the foot. And then those of you who are not doing dog pose, simply you can do Uttanasana with the hands at the wall. And then I'm going to have the heel hinge at the very frontal edge. The heel hinge is right here, the back of the heel. So watch. The reason why we're doing it this way, and Mr. Shafroni teaches it this way on his website, when the heel hinge is at the anterior side of the brick, it forces me, I can feel it immediately, how it lifts the kneecaps and again activates the fronts of the thighs, right? The fronts of the thighs are engaged, and then with the heels into the brick, I can even raise the toes up, which helps me open the backs of the knees. It's a beautiful thing. Let's try it. So heels to run and accommodate the length of the foot. If you don't have a wall, don't worry about it. Just do dog pose in the classical way. Get the back of the heel, not the whole foot, although we often do that whole foot, especially for pregnant people. Have the block to accommodate, the length of the foot, so it's substantial. Yeah, that's it. All right, now feel your quads engaged. Not just the vastus medialis, that inner quad, but the whole quad. Also feel how the abdomen is engaged, which people forget about in dog pose. The abdomen is lifting away from the floor. Okay, now raise the toes up. So heels on bricks, toes up. That's it, Yokiko. Now slowly walk a smidge forward so the back of the heel actually touches the brick. Maintain that work in the quads and the abdomen. Now again, with the heels down on the mat in front of the 2 bricks, raise the toes up. Toes up, toes up. That's it, Nans. Yeah, you can raise the toes even if you're wearing a sneaker. It's possible. Feel the work. I want you to focus on the work. The kneecaps are lifting. The quads are active. The abdomen is clearly engaged. Okay, now walk your feet toward the top of the mat. Top of the mat, inhale, up you come. All right, now we're doing with movement, Utkatasana. The arms can be overhead. They can be the hands on the hips. So Utkatasana, I'm just going to show this because this is a challenging pose for a lot of people. So I like to raise the toes up because it helps me move the shins back. And you can't see my toes up because I have the sneaker on. So watch. You see, when I sit down, see how different it is than Malasana? The root of the top of the thigh right here, this root is higher than the knees. In Malasana, it's lower than the knees. So see how it dramatically changes. All right, this is very hard on the knees to do what I just did, going from Malasana to standing. So don't do that. So watch. If you feel, look, I sit down, aiming to get my thighs parallel to the floor, but not at the expense of my chest coming forward. I want the chest to be upright. And this is what makes it very challenging. And you will feel your thighs burn. All right, you know what, but I decided to do one thing before this. Everyone go to the wall and sit down like you're doing a chair Utkatasana, where the thighs are parallel. So you're forward of the wall by 12 inches. Slide down, get your knees over your ankles. Don't let the inner knees collide. Mary Beth, the other way, so the back to the wall. Yeah, back against the wall. Luna, see if you can go down a little bit more. Yeah, so the buttock bones are in line with the pit of the knee, not too low, Mary Beth. not too low. I think Mary Beth, come a little forward, slide up, walk forward a smidge. That's it. So the knees are over the ankles. Good, Val. Don't let the inner knees collide. If you need to put your hands in that manner, we don't want the shins to bow out like Baddha Konasana. So see if you can stay. You don't have to take the arms overhead while you focus on your quads. Gail, I think from this angle, I'm actually, maybe, it looks to me that the root of the thigh is a little higher than the knee, but you'd be the best person to judge. Relax, Donna, the arms, because the way, I mean, it's not to say that's terrible, but it will, when you're holding on to that deer wall, see how it contracts the throat, right? This area gets hard. Okay, now come up. All right, now we're going to do 3 to 6 Utkatasans. Now here's the thing. True, I want you to get the thighs parallel to the ceiling, but I also want you to get the chest, which for most people is even harder, as perpendicular as you can. Is it at 90 degrees to the floor? No, but it's not at 45 degrees either, okay? So with hands on hips. Now I will say for some people, Lubna, your sister always has told me that she finds it easier when she takes her arms over her head to keep her chest perpendicular. If you need to do it that way, I didn't show it that way, then of course employ whatever method you need. All right, now go down. Do 3 to 6. Mary Beth, challenge yourself to get the chest a little more upright. Polly, see if you can sink those heels down. We won't let the heels fly up. That's it, Mary Beth. Get the chest more upright. Do it with movement, it might help. Nancy, see if you can get the chest, hi Jeff, more upright, more upright. So imagine I'm standing, Nancy, behind you with a blanket at your navel band and you're moving back to the chest of drawers. I know this is a challenging pose. Good, Rahel. Okay, one more. I wish I could be in the same room. Mary Beth, a little bit more perpendicular. Elaine, that's good. More, Gail, that's good. So try this. If I said to you, your chest, get it more perpendicular, use your arms overhead. One more, Nancy, Mary Beth, and not Matt. Let me see. Because sometimes it will help. Does it, Mary Beth? It looks like it did. No, maybe not. Yeah. Nancy, that helped a little bit. But remember, in taking the arms overhead, Nancy, move the buttock flush to the backs of the knees. We could spend an hour on this, but we're not. Okay, so now we have to do Garudasana. So this is important. So we're going to do Garudasana, and we did it supine, and we did it seated, right? So here's the thing. If you need the wall, be my guest. So we're taking the right leg around the left. Now here's the thing. When I hook, and I think I have to bring my foot to hook the calf, do you see how my frontal hip bones? This right hip is crossed over the left. Your inner, so I won't hook, that's better. And again, sense that your inner thighs have to resist each other. That's why we did all this work. So I would say for most people, this is what happens. In the effort to hook, they let the groins collide. You have to, and if you're hooking in this manner, then move the inner thighs away. All right, let's stand on the right leg. Stand in Samasthiti. Spread the feet, outer shins in. Lift up through the arches. Okay, now bend your right leg a smidge like I'm doing. Bend the right leg and entwine the left around the right. Now find out in that hook, in that entwinement, did you let the left hip go to the right? Resist. See, I'm using my hands. That's the inner thighs. Inner thighs, Lubna, that looks good. Inner thighs have to move away. Now, if you hook, which is the final pose, and let that groin crisscross, then I wouldn't hook. That's good, Donna. Just work with the legs, not the arms. This is all about legs. All right, change when you're ready. Stand in Samasthiti, spread the toes. Bend the left leg a little bit. Entwine the right. Entwine the right. Find out if you hook, did the right hip. Use your hands. Resist the inner thighs away. Resist the inner thighs. That's good, Mary Beth. So when I'm looking at your frontal hip bones, good, Nancy, they're pointing straight on, especially if you're facing forward. So in other words, it's not a problem to hook, but in hooking, find out if you've distorted the hips, and then you have to self-correct. All right, now this is what we're going to do. We're going to go from Utkatasana, which is symmetrical, then to Garudasana standing on our right, and then we'll do the left side. So with that said, you can show in profile or perhaps facing forward might be better because I want to focus on Garudasana. All right, arms up or not, Utkatasana, and then come back up, standing on the right leg, Garudasana. Garudasana. Don't remember those frontal hip bones you just did Utkatasana, keep them facing forward. Okay, now come back up, Samastiti, Utkatasana. Go down, but keep the chest upright. Okay, now Garudasana, keeping the frontal hip bones even. So Utkatasana informs Garudasana. Poses inform each other. They're like friends. All right, now release the left leg. Take 2 blocks on the highest side. And stand in such a manner that the hands will be directly underneath your shoulders. All right, then we'll stand on the right leg. Let me show in profile. And then you're going to lift the root of the left leg up. I have to make sure this leg, because it wasn't on Tuesday, parallel to the floor. So not here, not here, but parallel, okay? So we'll do it twice, standing on the right, standing on the left, then go back to the right. First time, we'll lift the leg from the root of the thigh. Second time, I want to bring your awareness to lifting the leg from the abdomen. All right, so your hands are now in the blocks. You can show me in profile, would be the easiest. Yes, good. All right, now join the feet, which in and of itself uses your abdomen, like narrow dog pose. Shoulder blades flat. All right, now standing on the right leg, lift the root of the left thigh up. Draw up from the right knee to the hip. Get the leg parallel. Leg is parallel, not lower, not higher. Keep the leg straight by extending from the inner knee to the inner heel. Make sure the weight doesn't come forward, probably into the right toes. Keep that right heel hinge on the floor. Actually, bringing the blocks back, Polly, closer to the foot will help. Descend the leg. Good, Val. All right, change sides. Take the arms up. Reach up. Get length to the side ribs. Exhale, bend forward. Weight there. Okay, now stand firmly on your left leg. Draw up from the left knee to the hip. Remember that skin that we alluded into Supta 1. Okay, now lift the root of the right thigh. Aim to get the right leg. Maybe about the smidge higher. I think, yeah, smidge higher. Reach through to keep the leg straight by extending through the core of the heel. Little bit lower, Alumna, because that's more, yeah, a little bit lower. Okay, go good. All right, now release the leg down, right leg down. Now, instead of focusing, I gave you the instruction, lifting the leg from the root of the thigh. You're going to do the same pose. The leg is going to come up to the same place, but I want you to lift the leg from your abdomen, not from, the leg is lifting from the leg, but I want all your attention now to be on the abdomen, taking your left leg up. All right, so awareness goes to where it's being directed. That's the lesson in that. Awareness goes to where awareness is being directed. In this second iteration, focus on your abdomen. Raise the arms up, exhale, take the arms down. All right, standing on the right leg, keep the right leg poker stiff. Now lift your left leg up from the abdomen, from and for the abdomen. Warrior 3, which is an abdominal pose. Good, and then release. Arms up, arms down. Okay, standing on the left leg, draw up from the knee to the hip, and now lift the right leg up from your abdomen. Sense the abdomen is ascending. Good, Luna. Ascending, ascending. Don't let it spill out onto the floor. These look good, really good. All right, now come back up. All right, now we're going back to the right side. We're going to do just, we'll do something after because of the time. I want you to do Utkatasana, symmetrical. Garudasana, asymmetrical, standing on the right leg. And then keeping the hands on the hips, do Warrior 3. All right? All right. Here we go. You can stand facing me or standing in profile. I'll take you through it. All right. Arms up or not, depending on your, if it's helpful. If it was helpful in keeping the chest perpendicular, be my guest. Utkatasana. That's it.
Now, for most of you, you'll find hands on the hips, Garudasana, standing on the right, stand on the right, and that's it. That's it. Don't let the hips collide. Now, keep the hands on the hips to make life easy. And now balancing on the right leg, take that left leg back, parallel to the floor, and chest forward. So the body is parallel. And hands need not come to the blocks, but if they do, let them. Donna, yeah, your hands can go on the hips. You don't have to use the blocks. Okay, and then repeat. That was it, Mary Beth. All right, so you can have the blocks there, just in case the arms fall forward. But see, most of you, I'm not asking you to take the arms forward. That would be much, much harder. No question, because the lever is longer. That's why it's harder. But keep the hands on the hips. So once again, Tadasana, Utkatasana, arms up or down. I like to have the hands on the hips. That's up to you. Okay, now standing on the left leg and twine the right, Garudasana, which we've done. Now you know it. Okay, now have faith. You're going to stay on that left leg, right? And now extend the right leg backward, keeping the hands on the hips out. Good. Chest forward. If the arms should fall, good, Rahel, to the floor, so be it, but they don't have to, right? All right, and then release. Okay, this is good. So I want let's just actually sit down, everyone, because that will be, you did a lot of standing work, and that kind of work, any kind of balancing work can excite the mind. So I want you to see one of the reasons for doing this lesson was that, actually do Baddha Konasana and rest your abdomen now because of the time, so just rest. In flat Baddha Konasana, this will feel good. So just lying flat on your back. So we're doing this to rest because we stood and balanced for several poses, and it's kind of Rajasic. You can use your hand again. Just feel how you worked your abdomen, but now you're not, now you're letting it spread. Feet can be on a bolster in the same way. All right, so one of the reasons why I constructed the class in this way was often people don't associate dog pose and the standing poses with much of anything, no less abdominal work. So this is a way of kind of inclining the mind to these standing poses that we do quite often. And to bring them, again, awareness goes to where awareness is being directed onto the abdomen. Now it's true, this is not a classic abdominal lesson in Iyengar yoga, which would probably do a legless or Prasaradasana. We would do Ardha Navasana, Paripurna Navasana, or Ardha Navasana. We will do that. But again, in terms of the heat, I thought that it might be better to wait for that till Tuesday, hopefully with a cooler day. But also, standing abdominal work can be equally. So just rest everyone, your legs now. Press the feet together, just relax. You can also do cross-legged. So those of you who want to come into Supta Swastikasana, if it's okay on your knees, that can be quite peaceful as well. Supta Swastikasana. So we'll use this time. We will do Shavasana. I want everyone to just double check there on screens to make sure everyone is muted. On Tuesday, there must have been some people not muted, so there was a lot of sound. Yeah, you can move, those of you in Supta Baddha Konasana want to cross the legs, hold the outer ankles, and allow yourself to rest in Supta Swastikasana. Good. Arms down by the side. And again, use these supine poses to create that feeling of space in the body. It should feel really good. So, when we come back to look at some abdominal work next week, there are a lot of abdominal work supine, and there's also abdominal work where the trunk is facing the floor, like the, Chaturanga Dandasana, high planks, low planks, etc. So there are many, many different ways you can get your core muscles strong. But make no mistake, these standing poses with the mind attentive to the abdomen can really help. Garudasana, Utkatasana, dog pose, narrow dog pose, one-legged dog pose, warrior three. As well as improve balance. So you can see the relationship of the feet, the abdominal muscles, and the thigh muscles. Okay, so I think for Shavasana, resting your lower legs on the seat of the chair might be really nice because that also is conducive to resting the abdomen. But if you don't have a chair, then you can rest supine. Prone is less peaceful on the abdomen. Some people like it though. But usually, especially if one's nauseous, you don't want to be prone. So take this time that we have together, this remaining time, so that you can be comfortable. So one of the things, and again, I want to thank Polly for giving me the courage to watch a video, which I had not done ever in my life. And I noticed that in Shavasana, my voice was really fading out. So I'm going to come up closer and hopefully we'll be able to hear some of these wise words. Just relax. Adjust your arms, explore what arm position maximizes the space inside you, around you. So again, as we said, having the hands close to the hips, probably not the best choice. Certainly not arms overhead. Somewhere between them, find that middle path. And just allow yourself to settle the body. Allow yourself to feel the back body supported by the earth below. Give you that quality of stability, groundedness, and perhaps sense that your body is being held. And then if it feels natural for you to be with the body of the breath, the inhalation, the exhalation, then be with the body of the breath. If it feels more nourishing to just stay with the body supported by the earth, do that. Sometimes when one calls your attention to the breath, there's a narrowing in. If it causes that narrowing in, then go back to feeling the body. You want the body to feel rather expansive. Now, thoughts we know will arise. That's the nature of the mind, to think, to have thoughts. And just respond versus react to them. Just noting that there are thoughts, thinking. That mental notation of thinking. Let that quality of responsiveness versus reactivity unfold. See if you can relate to the arising of thoughts with wisdom, compassion, and inner spaciousness. Inner spaciousness. Incline yourself to respond versus react. Now, as a reflection today, like a daily dharma, you can think of a time when you reacted and how it felt later. And then think of a time when you responded due to that awareness of inner spaciousness. And throughout the day, let that quality of responsiveness become the default position. It just takes practice. With mindful awareness, slowly, those of you with the chair can take the knees in. With mindful attention, know that you're going to one side. With mindful attention, you can open the eyes or perhaps keep the eyes closed as you come to sit. Some people open their eyes when they're on their side, others come to sit when their eyes still are closed, but mindfully know when you're opening your eyes. And just sit and know that you're sitting. Sit and know that you're sitting with the eyes open, or sit and know that you're sitting with the eyes closed. And then if your eyes are open, once again, connect the space in the room, seeing with periphery from your outer corners of your eyes, very calming to the brain versus seeing from the center of the eyes. And just take in the colors of the room, take in the shapes of the room. And if it's helpful to orient yourself back to the space, then sometimes you can turn the head to the right, take an inhalation, and then exhale, turn to the left. Again, seeing all the colors and shapes in the room, taking a nice in-breath, and then exhale, turn the head, and then come back to center. And just rest comfortably with the hands pronated, sensing relaxation in your eyes, sides of the throat, the sternum, fingers, and the toes. Okay, everyone, thank you very much. If you have